Shadowkiss, Chapter 13. When we got back to our rooms, I made up an excuse to Lisa about how I needed to go take care of some guardian stuff. She was eager to patch up the earlier conflict with Christian, probably in the form of clothing removal. And don't ask any questions. There was a phone in my room, and after calling an operator, I was able to find out which room was Rimit's. He was surprised to see me at his door and a little worried. The last time this had happened, I could be under influence of Victor's lust charm and have behaved aggressively. I have to talk to you, I said. He let me come in and immediately handed over the note. V.D. Yeah, I know, said Rimit. He handed the note back. Victor Dushwak. What are we going to do? I mean, we talked about this, but now he really is saying he is going to sell us out. Rimit don't answer, and I could tell he was assessing every angle of this, just like he could fight. Finally, he pulled out his cell phone, which was a lot cooler than having to rely on the room's phone. Give me a moment. I started to sit on his bed, decided that was dangerous, and instead sat on the couch. I don't know who he was calling, but the conversation took place in Russian. What's going on? I asked when he finished. I will tell you soon. For now, we have to wait. Great, my favorite thing to do. He dragged a armchair up and sat opposite me. It seems too small for someone as tall as him, but as always, he managed to make it work and appear graceful in the process. Besides me was one of the Western novels he always carried around. I picked it up, again thinking how alone he was. Even now at the court, he could choose to stay in his room. Why do you read this? Some people read books for fun, he observed. Hey, watch the dig. And I do read books. I read them to solve mysteries and that threatens my best friend's life and sanity. I don't think reading the cowboy stuff is really saving the world like I do. He took it from me and flipped it over, face thoughtful and not so intense as usual. Like any book, it is an escape. And there is something, I don't know, something appealing about the Old West. No rules. Everyone just lives by their own code. You don't have to tie it down by others' ideas of right and wrong in order to bring justice. Wait. I laughed. I thought I was the one who wanted to break the rules. I don't say I wanted. Just that I can see the appeal. You cannot fool me, Commandi. You want to put on a cowboy hat and keep lawless bank robberies in line. No, Jam, I have enough trouble keeping you in line. I grinned and suddenly it was a lot like when we cleaned the church before the fight, at least. Easy, comfortable, and in fact, it was not like the old days when we could first begin training together, way back before everything had gotten so complicated. Well, okay, things had always been complicated, but for a while, they could be less complicated. It made me sad. I wish we could reveal those early days. There could be no Victor Derschwag, no blood on my hands. I'm sorry, Ramat said all of a sudden. For what? Reading chasing novels? For not being able to get you there. I feel like I let you down. I glimpsed a shadow of worry on his face, like he was concerned he might have caused some irreparable damage. The apology totally caught me off guard. For a moment, I wondered if he was jealous of Hadran's influence in the same way Christian's had been. Then I realized it was completely different. I could be giving Drummond a hard time because I had been convinced he could do anything. Somewhere deep inside, he felt the same. At least where I was concerned. He don't want to deny me anything. My earlier bad mood had long since vanished, and I suddenly felt drained and stupid. You don't. I told him. I acted like a total brat. You have never let me down before. You don't let me down with this. The grateful look he gave me made me feel like I had wings. If another moment had passed, I suspected he could have said something so sweet that I could have flown away. Instead, his phone rang. Another conversation in Russian took place. Then he stood up. All right, let's go. Where? To see Victor Doshwa. It turned out that Drummond had a friend who had a friend, and somehow, despite the best security in the Morai world, we managed to get into the court's prison facilities. Why are we doing this? I whispered as we walked down the hall towards Victor's cell. I could really hoped for stone walls and torches, but the face looked very modern and efficient. With marble floors and star white walls, at least there were no windows. You think we can take him out of it? Drummond shook his head. If Victor wanted to take revenge on us, he could just do it without any warning. He does not do things without a reason. The fact that he told you the first means he wants something, and now we are going to find out what it is. We reached Victor's cell. He was the only person currently being held. Like the rest of the facility, his room reminded me of something you could find at a hospital. Everything was clean, bright, and sterile, and very bare. It was a place without any sort of stimulus of distraction whatsoever, which could have been driving me crazy in an hour. The cell had silver bars that looked very hard to break, which was the most important part. Victor sat in the chair, idly examining his nails. It had been the 3 months since our last meeting, and seeing him again made my skin crawl. Feeling I had not known were buried in me suddenly burst to the surface. One of the hardest thing of all was seeing him look so healthy and young. He bought that healthy by torturing Lisa, and I hated him for it. If his disease had run its normal course, he might be dead by now. He had receding black hair with only the slightest touch of silver. He was in his 40s and had a regal, almost handsome cut in his face. He glanced up at us our approach, eyes the same pale jad as Lisa met mine. The Dragmora and Dershwalk family had a lot of interviewed history, and it was creepy seeing that eye color in someone else. A smile lit his face. Oh my, this is treat. A lovely Rosemary, practical and adult now. His eyes flickered towards Drummond. Of course, some have been treating you the way for quite a while. I pressed my face to the bus. Stop screwing with us, you son of a bitch. What do you want? Drummond put a gentle hand on my shoulder and pulled me back. Easy, Rose. I took a deep breath and then slowly stepped backward. Victor straightened up in his chair and laughed. After all the time, your crop still has not learned any control. But then, maybe you never really wanted her to. We are not here to banter, said Drummond calmly. You wanted to lure Rose over, and now we need to know why. Does it have to be some sinister reason? I just wanted to know how she is doing, and something tells me we are not going to have a chance for any friendly chats tomorrow. The annoying smirk stayed on his face, and I decided that he was lucky to be behind the bars and out of my reach. We are going to have a friendly chat now. I growled. You think I'm joking, but I'm not. I really don't want to know how you're doing. You always been a fantasizing subject of me, Rosemary, the only Shadowkiss person we know of. I told you before that is not the kind of thing you walk away from unscathed. There is no way you can quite sink into the requirement for routine of academic life. People like you are not meant to blend in. I'm not some kind of science experiment. He acted like I had not said anything. What has it has been like? What have you noticed? There is no time for this. If you don't get to the point, warned Drummond, we are going to leave. I don't understand how Drummond could sound so calm. I leaned forward and gave Victor my coldest smile. There is no way they will let you off tomorrow. I hope you enjoy prison. I bet it will be great once you get sick again and you will, you know. Victor regarded me levelly, still with that amused look that made me want to choke him. All things die, Rose. Well, except for you, I suppose. Or maybe you're dead. I don't know. Those who visits the world of the dead can probably never full shake their connection of it. There was a snaky retort on his lips, but something held me back. Those who visits the world of the dead. What if Manson sightseeing were not because I was crazy or because he was seeking revenge? What if there was something about me, something that had happened when I could die and come back, that was now connecting me to Manson? It was Victor who had first explained what it happened to be Shadowkiss. I wonder now if he had any of the answers I could be looking for. My face must have given him away something because Victor gave me a spectacle look. Yes, there is something you like to say? I hated to ask him for anything. It made my stomach turn. Swallowing my pride, I asked, what is the world of death? Is it heaven or hell? Neither, he said. What lives there? I exclaimed. Ghosts? Will I go back? Do things out of it? Victor was taking great pleasure in me having to come to him for information just as I could fear he could. I saw the smirk instantly. Well, clearly something's come out of it because here is stand before us. He's baiting you, said Drummond. Let it go. Victor gave Drummond a brief glare. I am helping her. He turned back to me. Honestly, I don't know that much about it. You're the one who had seen the arrows. Not me, not it. Someday you will probably the one educating me. I'm sure the more you deal the death out, the closer you will become to it. Enough, said Drummond, voice harsh. We are going. Wait, said Victor, voice congenial. You have not told me about Basali's yet. I moved forward again. Stay away from her. She does not have anything to do with this. Victor gave me a dry look. Seeing as I have locked away here, I have no choice but to stay away from her, my dear. And you're wrong. Vasalis does have everything to do with everything. That's it, I said, suddenly getting it. That's why you sent the note. You wanted me here because you wanted to know about her, and you know there is no way she could come talk to herself. You had nothing blackmail with her. Blackmail is an ugly word. There is no way you're going to see her, at least outside the courtroom. She is never going to heal you. I told you, you're going to get sick again and you're going to die. You're going to be the one spending me postcards from the other side. You think that is what it is about? You think my needs are that petty? The mockery was gone, replaced by fear rush and almost fanatical look in his green eyes. The tight set of his mouth stretched the skin of his face a little, and noticed he could lost weight since our last encounter. Maybe the prison had been harder on him than I thought. You're forgetting everything. When, why I did what I did. You have been so caught up in the own shortened sightedness that you miss the big picture I was looking at. I racked my brain thinking about the time last fall. He was right, my focus had been on the wrongs he committed against Lisa me and me personally. I've forgotten the other conversation, his intense explanation of his grand scheme. You wanted to stage a revolution? Still want to? That is crazy. It is not going to happen. I said, it is already happening. Do you think I don't know what is going on out in the world? I still have context. People can be bought off. How do you think I was able to send you the messages? I knew about the unrest. I knew about Natasha Ozari movements to get Morai to fight the Guardians. You stand by her and will fee me, Rosemary. But I pushed the very same thing last fall. Yet somehow you don't seem to regard her in the same way. Tasha Ozari is working on her because a bit differently than you did, noted Drummond. And that is why he is going nowhere. Victor retreated. Titan and her council are being held back by centuries of archery traditions. So long as that sort of power rules us, nothing will change. We will never learn to fight. Non-royal Morai will never have a voice. Dampiers like you will continually be sent out to battle. It is what we dedicated our lives to, said Drummond. I could sense the tension building in him. He might show better self control than me, but I know he was getting just as frustrated here. And it is what you lose your lives for. You're all but enslaved and don't even realize it. And for what? Why do you protect us? Because we need to, I fluttered, for our race to survive. You don't need to throw yourselves into a battle for that. Making children is not really that difficult. I ignored his quip. And because the Morai and their magics are important, they do amazing things. Victor threw his hands up in exploration. We used to do amazing things. Humans used to revive us as gods, but over time we grow lazy. The advance of the technology made our magic more and more obsolete. Now all we do is pure tricks. If we have so many ideas, said Drummond, with a dangerous glint in his dark eyes, then do something useful in a prison and write a manifesto. And that and what does this have to do with Lisa anyway? I asked. Because Vasali is a vehicle for change. I started incredulously. You think she is going to lead our revolution? Well, I could prefer that I lead it someday, but regardless, I think she is going to part of it. I have heard about her too. She is a rising star, still young, certainly, but people are taking notice. All royals are not created equal. The Dragmorai symbol is a dragon, the king of beasts. Likewise, the Dragmorai blood has always been powerful. That is why the Strigoi had targeted them so constantly. A Dragmorai returning to power is no small thing, particularly one such as her. My impression from the reports is that she must have been mastered her magic. If that is so, with her gifts, there is no telling what she could do. People are drawn to her with almost no effect on her part, and when she actually tries to influence them, well, they will do anything she wants. His eyes were wide as he spoke, wonder and happiness on his face as he imagined Lisa living out his dreams. Unbelievable. I said, first you wanted to hide her away to keep you alive. Now you actually want her out in the world to use her compulsion for your own psycho plans? I told you she is force for change, unlike you being shadow kissed. She is the only one of her kind that we know that makes her dangerous and very valuable. Well, that was something. Victor was not all knowing after all. He don't know about Adrian's prettiest. Lisa will never do it. I said, she is not going to abuse her powers. And Victor's are not going to say anything about us, said Drummond, tugging my arm. He achieved his goal. He brought you here because he wanted to know about Lisa. He don't find out much. I said, you're surprised, said Victor. He grunted at Drummond. And what makes you so certain I won't enlighten the world about your romantic indiscretions because I won't save you from prison. And if you ruin Rose, you will destroy whatever weak chance you had for Lisa helping you with your wrapped fantasy. Victor flinched just a little. Drummond was right. Drummond stepped forward, pressing close to the bus as I had earlier. I thought I could see scary voice, but when he spoke his next words, I realized I was not even close. And it will all be pointless anyway because you won't stay alive long enough in prison to stage your grand plans. You're not the only one with connections. My breath caught a little. Drummond brought so many things to my life: love, comfort, and instruction. And I got so used to him sometimes that I forgot just how dangerous he could be. As he stood there, tall and threatening, while he glared down at the victor, I felt a chill run down my spine. I remember how, when I had first came to the academic, people had said Drummond was a god. In this moment, he looked it. If Victor was frightened by Drummond's threat, he don't show it. His jaded green eyes glanced between the two of us. You two are a match made in heaven or somewhere. See you in court, I said. Drummond and I left. On our way out, he said a few words in Russian to the guardians on duty. From their manners, my guess was Drummond was offering thanks. We ventured outdoors, walking across a wide, beautiful park-like space to get back to our rooms. The sleet had stopped, and it had left everything, buildings and trees like coated on ice. It was like the world was made of glass. Glancing at Emmett, I saw him starting straight ahead. It was hard to tell while walking, but I could have sworn he was shaking. Are you okay? I asked. Yes. You sure? As okay as I can be. Do you think he will tell everyone about us? No. We walked in silence for a bit. I finally asked a question I've been dying to know. Did you mean it? That if Victor did tell that you could. I could not finish. I could not bring myself to say the words, have him killed. I don't have much influence in the upper levels of Morai royalty, but I have plenty among the guardians who handle the dirty world in our world. You don't answer the question if you really do it. I could do a lot of things to protect you, Rosa. My heart pounded. He only used Rosa when he was feeling particularly affectionate towards me. It could not exactly be protecting me. It could be after the fact. Cold blooded. You don't do the kind of thing. I told him. Revenge is more my thing. I will have to kill him. I mean it as a joke, but he don't think it was funny. Don't talk like that. And anyway, it does not matter. Victor is not going to say anything. He left me to go his own room when we got inside. As I was opening the door of mine, Lisa rounded the hall corner. There you are. What happened? You missed dinner. I have completely forgotten. Sorry, get carried away with some guardian stuff? It's a long story. She could change for dinner. Her hair was still pulled up, and she now wore a form-fitting dress made out of silver raw silk. She looked beautiful. She looked royal. I thought about Victor's words and wondered if she really could be the power of change he swore she was, looking like she did now. She so glamorous and self-composed. I could imagine people following her everywhere. I could certainly could, but then I was biased. Why are you looking at me like that? She asked with a small smile. I could not tell her that I could just see the man who frightened her the most. I could not tell her that while she could be out living it up, I could be off watching her back in the shadows like I always do. Instead, I returned her smile. I like the dress.